I haven't talked about Texas yet. I feel really bad for people, of course. I pray for comfort for people who have loved ones who are missing, have loved ones who are lost, whose lives have been turned upside down in a matter of minutes, who, through thinking that they were having a weekend of togetherness, celebrations because of the 4th of July holiday, they were, to my understanding, there was a church camp where all the little girls are missing and other people are missing, and just so much sadness and grief. And I think after time we become desensitized in a way, and perhaps that's already happening now as we're in the beginnings of the tribulations, after seeing all the devastation that was here in Appalachia last fall, and that it's still here. There's a lot of places that are still really untouched for a large part. I mean, a lot has been done to help people, but there's also a lot that still needs to be done. And I can't help but to wonder, just because of my mindset, will certain things ever get done? I don't know how much time we have left here on this realm. None of us know, but I do know that it's wrote down here in these words multiple different times and places that in the last days, these troublesome times are going to come. I mean, yes, he said he would never destroy the earth again by flood, by water, but we also know that there's going to be floods and high water and tsunamis, and land's going to be changing shape. And, if time allows, I don't know. I'm always on that time thing and how we can't measure it like God does. So all we can do, a lot of times, perhaps, I mean, a lot of people now who I've known and met in the last year and a half, couple of years, have their life structured to where they can take off and go. And just for right now, I can't. If I, by the grace of God, can get done with this house sale situation, I want to do that. I want to be able to dedicate so much of my life to running, going, helping wherever I need to go. That is my one of my wants, my desires, to spend most of my life working for the Lord, working for our Almighty Father in whatever capacity would be under His will. So right now, what I can do is I can pray, and I can pray and just pray without ceasing. I'm gonna go and go over here to Samuel first, and then we'll come back to my little makeshift page holders here. Let's go over here to Samuel first. I was looking up a couple of keywords, that come to mind, thinking about all the lost lives, all the little children who are lost. So many times that just seems like it just makes it so much more sad. And I don't mean to belittle anyone losing a life, but when it's your time, it's your time, according to the will of God. But when it's little children, there are clearly a lot of questions. But I started thinking about it, and I was looking up the words grief and sorrow and tribulations, and thinking about how, it was Independence Day here in our country. Take all that with a grain of salt, right? Knowing now who we know some of our forefathers were and what this place really may or may not have been based on. But I digress, and I'll go back to Samuel, 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse number 2. Thinking about Independence Day and the 4th of July and what all that means. And the victory of that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as the people being ashamed steal away when they flee from battle or in battle. So this was, Absalom, Joab, David's son, right? But I just thought it was kind of unique how that kind of lined up. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people, for the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And if you think about it, like the state of Texas, all that it means to the U.S., right? How it is one of the biggest states in our nation, and think of Texas as a son to the king, which is the United States. The victory of the 4th of July was turned into mourning yesterday when so many lives were taken out by extreme, massive floodwaters. And just feel the hurt and the grief of the people whose day of joy, the weekend of a celebration, was completely turned upside down and has changed their life forever. Then you read the first few verses of Psalm 18. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who spake unto the Lord the words of this song in the day that the Lord delivered him from the hand of all his enemies and from the hand of Saul. And he said, I will love thee, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. My God, my strength, in whom will I trust? My buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from mine enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of the ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon the Lord and cried unto my God. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. The earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly Upon the wings of the wind he made darkness his secret place, his pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of skies. At the brightness that was before him the thick clouds passed, hailstones, coals of fire. The Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. Yea, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them. Then the channels of the waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered. At thy rebuke, O Lord, at thy blast of thy breath of thy nostril. So, my friends, we just know that we just have to keep our faith, our blessed hope, that we will all meet again if we do have Christ in our heart, if we've accepted him as our Savior, if we love the Lord with all our heart, mind, soul, body, and we love our neighbors second. And we just have to continue to believe on them. We have to continue to believe in him. It's not going to get any easier, friends. It's not going to get any easier until it's all said and done. So we who know, who can discern, we have to remain strong. Romans 15:5. Those who are strong lift up those who are weak. Comfort them. Much love.